palm reading of a male. We are reading this particular hand, and I would talk about important lines that I see on this particular hand first. The first line that I see is that there's a line that is originating on the Mount of Jupiter and joining the lifeline. Now, in this particular hand, this particular line is very clear, and a clear line basically indicates that the chances of a person rising up to a high position in life increases. Now, the thing is that it is this particular line, although it is joining the line of head, this is the line of head and this is the line of life. So either it's joining the headline or the lifeline. The meaning is going to remain the same, roughly the same. So it means our life is basically getting guided by the Jupiter mount. And Jupiter mount is the area, Jupiter is a big planet. Big planet means growth and expansion and honor and respect in one's life. So although this line is joining at an early portion of life, even in the early portion of life when the person is in junior classes, senior classes, and in college, all the time the person would be seeking a high position, either awards or something like a prefect or a monitor or something like this. So all these things are going to get repeated throughout this particular person's life. So in that way, it is considered to be a good sign. Sometimes this line also could indicates towards spirituality, because Jupiter is the area for administration, religion, politics, and honor. So, in this hand, what I wanted to indicate that this line was a very significant line. The other line that I find very significant and different from other people's hand is the heart line. This is the heart line, and it is kind of leaning and touching the headline. This is the headline. This one is the heart line, and this is basically the headline. So what we find out here is that the heart line is leaning downwards. Imagine fingertips is the sky and the base of the palm is the earth. So imagine the whole heart line is leaning down towards the earth and the gravity. It's like the whole heart is being pulled downwards. What it basically means out here is that such person may have misplaced affections. It means being affectionate to somebody who is not worth their affection. Now, the person may be giving his time, effort, energy, everything to people who are not worth it. So they need to be extremely careful whom to associate with and whom not to associate with, because the whole line is touching the line of head. Sometimes what happens is that the heart line is something like this, moving towards the fingers, and it may have a branch like thing leaning downwards. So that is, a branch has got limited and limited bad effect, but the whole line coming and touching the headline has got a much more negative impact on one's life. Imagine a situation. Let's take a situation. Uh, this is the heart line. I'm just giving an example, not in this particular person said, just to make you understand. This is the heart line and this is the headline. Imagine the heart line and the headline to be two different teams in a football field. Okay, so it's a football game. So one is the heart, the feelings part. This is the feelings part. This is the feelings part line, and this is the thought process line. So both these lines, and in the middle area, this is the middle area. This is the playing ground. This is the playing ground of the feelings and the thought process, and the decisions are being made out here. So if there is a gap between these two particular lines, the head and the heart line, it would signify that the decisions are going to be much more balanced kind of decisions. Like they would come out to be much more like acceptable kind of decisions, and uh, uh, much more decisions that have taken care of your feelings and your thought process to arrive at the conclusion. So that's the reason why they are better decisions. But because the hard line is coming and touching out here, the headline, it's something like a short circuit. Okay, short circuit means like something wrong has gone out here. So in this way, we basically, I normally caution the person that be careful uh, with your emotions. Probably in the past, in the present, and the future, these things can get applied. Apart from this particular indication, you would also notice that this particular heart line does have few branches over it. Now, branches over the heart line means distractions, falling for temptations, and it's something like attachments. These branches are something like attachments. Attachment bringing in expectations. Expectations are not fulfilled. That's the reason why disappointment may creep in. So these are a little bit negative kind of lines. If these branches are much more longer, then the effect is going to be much bigger compared to a smaller branch. Okay. Now, just if we zoom in into the image, if we zoom into the hand image, you will find that if we look closely, we find that the heart line is broken somewhere at this particular point. If you notice out here, I'm just going to draw the image, draw the line. The line is something like this, and then new line is basically starting. So when there is a break on the heart line, so break on the heart line could mean an abrupt ending in a relationship or a partnership. It could also mean an abrupt ending in what we have been doing. So it could mean any of those things. The heart line normally tells about the relationship, but sometimes we also look at your profession also on your heart line as well. See, the thing is, the reason why we say heartline, we use heartline to tell about the profession as well, because the thing is that sometimes we casually say, my heart is not in this particular profession or work. So that's the reason why somehow the heart also comes into play in your profession as well. So a break on the heartline could mean either a break in a relationship or a break in a business partnership or a break in the work that we have been doing. So any of those things can get applied. So now we move on to the sister lines of the heart, and this is the heart line. Not many people may have these particular lines that you see out here. Now these lines are kind of running horizontal, parallel to the heart line. So we would say that these could be called the sister lines to the heart line. Now what happens is that if you have got these sister lines, so these are of little use, and horizontal lines are kind of negative lines. The reason why we say they are negative is because kind of energies penetrate the fingers, and when it penetrates the fingers, if you find that there's a energy, light, or current, whatever you may say, it penetrate the fingers and enter the palm. Entering the palm means entering your life. And if you find that there's a blockage out here, so the energies are going to get deflected and move something like this. So there's blockages of energies because of these horizontal lines. It's always better to have a vertical line under the finger instead of these horizontal kind of lines. Now, in book of palmistry, there's one circular line out here. They mention it as Girdle of Venus. Now, this particular line that we see, it may not be a perfect Girdle of Venus, but it could be a Girdle of Venus. See, there's no surety because lines come in different formations. So even we can't basically pinpoint exactly, but probably the meaning of this particular line could be that this person could have be hysterical, because these lines in traditional palmistry, whenever there was a Girdle of Venus, it was seen as the line of hysteria. Hysteria means uncontrolled emotion. Sometimes when the person is happy, the person is really happy, and when the person is down, the person is something like they may have this kind of a sinking kind of a feeling within them. So in that way, it is not the perfect. These lines are not the perfect lines to have. Now we look at the line of attachment. This is the line of attachment. There could be one more attachment. A smaller line is of lesser significance. Longer lines is longer and deeper line is the more meaningful line to basically consider. So a smaller line basically means a affection that has lasted for a very short duration of time, and a longer line basically means affection that is going to last for a longer duration of time. And because there's depth in the line, it means depth in that particular relationship. Okay, so these lines that are mentioned in palmistry, they don't mention it like people consider these lines to be the line of marriage. I would say that they could be the line of marriage, they may not be the line of marriage. These lines could also be referred to as line of attachment. And attachment can convert into marriage or may not convert into marriage. It is not 100% surety that every line would convert into a relationship or a partnership. So this is what I don't see any negative signs as such on this particular attachment line, the main line. And because there is no negative indication, I would say that the chances are the relationship with this particular person is likely to be reasonably good. Although it's a little bit of for long line. The long line, normally I don't consider it to be very good. Uh, the reason why I say it's a long line is not very good, it should be a reasonable size. Even this much size is okay, but when it kind of crossing till this particular point, or sometimes the line crosses till this particular point, the line becomes long. Then it basically, the reason why I say it is wrong is because consider fingers to be the sky and the base of the palm to be the earth, and this is something like a stick hanging. So what's going to happen is if there's a long stick that is hanging, the chances of it the gravity pulling that stick downwards is going to be immense. And it is going to create, like, imagine a situation you're carrying your affection, your attachment in your hands, and you can't carry them for a long, long duration of time. So as we grow older, we get tired, and all these kind of things happen. So a longer line has got a much more deeper impact on us compared to a weaker kind, a comparatively shorter line. So in a way, although I won't say that it's totally negative because the line is quite straight, and a straight line means that gravity is not pulling it downwards. And a straight line basically means that the relationship is likely to be reasonably okay. So I would say in some people, when the line dips downwards, something like this, that's when we say there could be negative signs. Now I basically look at a few more indications on this and then move on to the left hand as well. Although it is said that the right hand is the active hand, but I consider both hands to be important. That's the reason why I would read both the hands. Now in this particular indication, this is the lifeline, and lifeline encircles two planets, Mars and the Venus part. So both of them are reasonably okay because there are not too many crisscrossing lines over it. And if there were too many, if there were too many crisscrossing lines out here, it would mean that the person would be misguiding their energies or wasting their energies. Venus is the area for energy, stamina, vitality, and the desires. So if there were too many lines, so the energies are going to get misused. And if there was too many lines out here crisscrossing, it would mean that misuse of fire. This is the area for Mars, and Mars is a red planet. Red means anger, aggression, and fire. So in a way, I feel that the lines are reasonably okay. You may find that these lines are a little bit crossing over, so a little bit negative, but because they lack in depth and clarity, that's the reason why the negative impact that this particular person may feel is going to be only limited. So again, coming back out here, consider lifeline. This is the lifeline, it to be a river. A tributary joining from the Jupiter is considered to be good, and a tributary joining from the Mount of Jupiter means that Jupiter qualities enter the life. So this becomes a very important thing. It means a person reaches to a higher position early in the earlier portion of their life or throughout their life, even in the last portions of their life. And then you would notice few other lines kind of joining something like these. And then again, there are few upward lines from pointing from the area of a Saturn and joining the lifeline. There are 3 or 4 lines, something like these. So lines that join pointing from the mount of Saturn means that Saturn is the area for money, possession, wealth, wisdom, responsibility. So money entering your life at these particular age. So this particular age has got a long duration. So probably these lines start somewhere at this particular point, and this particular point could be approximately 25 approximately, and it lasts somewhere till this particular point, and this point is going to be approximately 45 or so. So this is what I can say regarding the lifeline, these lines branches joining the lifeline. And then there are few lines that are leaning down outwards, pointing towards the area of a moon. These are negative because energies is moving outward, pointing towards moon, bringing in restlessness and sometimes issues related to below the like below the lungs. So those things can get affected in the later portion of one's life, or the person's desire for maybe travel increases, or the person's there could be few health loss or wealth loss that the person may get during this particular portion. And this particular age approximately could be after the age of 67, 68, 69. That's the approximate, I would say. I will darken the image a little bit so that I can see a little bit variation in the quality of the image. Just tweaking the image a little bit. So let's take the first part, the part before the age of 35. So it appears I am saying it appears because there could be the quality of the image may not be good. That's the reason why I'm not able to see clearly. So the money line starts and ends somewhere out here, and probably a new one starts, and that continues till it touches the heart line. So when it touches the heart line, the age is 53. When it touches the headline, the age is 35. So this portion is before the age of 35, and this is after the age of 35. So you would notice that the first break that you see out here, this particular break that we are referring to, this break could be around the age of, let's say, 31, approximately 31. And when there is a break in the money line, the break in the money line could have multiple meanings. The first meaning could be there could be job loss, work loss, business loss. The first thing. The second thing could be it could be the main earning member of the family, their health or wealth goes down, so more responsibility falls onto this particular person's head. And the third thing could be due to this particular break, it could mean that one's personal life can also get disturbed with a break on the money line. And after this particular point, the line basically continues throughout and touches the hard line. So it's common sense. Sometimes we basically use common sense while giving a palmistry reading. I normally say that if you have got good finances, the chances of the relationship going bad decreases. So money is required for a relationship. Without good money, probably even the best of partners may be dissatisfied. So that's the reason why I do see that there is much more stability after the age of, let's say, 31 or so. There are few lines that are coming from the area of Mars. These are we can't say that all the lines on the Mars is negative, but these horizontal lines that reach this particular point could be a little bit negative. And because it touches the headline and the money line, and this point is age 35, so small amount of trouble can be expected during those years of the life. And this particular line that we are referring to, this is called the Mercury line. Not very clear, but because it is there and there's only one line, I would say it's a positive sign. The reason why I consider Mercury lines to be good, because this is the line for skills, calculation, and communication. So people who have got good Mercury line are good at calculations and communication. I also find that the Mercury finger is almost crossing this is the ring finger. It is almost crossing the top line of the ring. This is the ring finger, top line of the ring finger. This Mercury finger length is almost reaching here. Probably I could be wrong, because sometimes when we read the palm and the person sends the image. So what happens is that they somehow like they make mistakes how they take image. But I think I would be asking you if the Mercury finger is long or not. And I think the Mercury finger is long because it crosses the top line of the ring finger. It almost reaches the hair. So Mercury finger, whenever long, we say good networking skills, and we consider Mercury finger to be something like a communication. This is the communication tower because Mercury is the finger for communication, calculations, communication, calculations, skills. So if the tower is long, if your tower is long, communication tower is long, so the reach that you would have is going to be over the larger population. You would be able to receive and emit signals to a large population. So in that way, it is good. The second reason why I consider long Mercury finger to be good is because sometimes what happens is people may have good communication with people far away, but people who are really nearby, they may miscommunicate. So a long Mercury finger also gives good communication abilities with your near and dear ones as well. So in that way also, it is considered to be a good sign to have. Long Mercury finger is always a good sign to have. Now I basically move on to the left hand. See, there are lots of similarities. I won't repeat too much, but briefly I would say what similarities I do see in this particular hand as well. Just 1 minute. So the first thing I would start with is Jupiter mount, these branches joining the lifeline, all of them are good. Many upward lines also pointing towards the Saturn mount, all of these are good. So in this way, it is a beautiful sign. Although these are very, very weak kind of lines. So weak lines have got lesser impact compared to a stronger line. I've already explained, so I'm not going to waste your time by re-explaining those things. The second aspect is the heart line. Now, the heart line is broken, branches, too many branches. So when the branches, there are lots of branches, it means flirtatious nature. Flirtatious basically nature means that the person is every time distracted. Let's imagine the person is doing some profession and he's very good at it, but he gets distracted and he falls for temptation. Somebody comes up to him, he says, "Oh, you should do something else," and you're made to do something bigger. So change your work and you would have double income. So probably this person may fall for temptations, and the person may not be able to commit themselves completely, and the person may have been constantly changing their goalpost. So I would advise this particular person to commit themselves completely to one thing and only one thing. That's the end. That's when things are likely to be the best. See, you can't keep on changing your work constantly because what happens is when you're 23, you can experiment, but when you turn something like 35, you can't experiment. You have to commit yourself to the work that you have been doing. Imagine you change your profession at the age of 35. So you would be competing with somebody whose age is 23. So what's going to happen is that the 23 person has got more energies compared to you. When you are 35, so 35%, 35%, a person with 35 years of age is competing with 23. So 23 may lack in a little bit of inexperience. And 35-year age person may have more experience, but yet because of the high energies that the 23% may have, the person may be able to do more things compared to the third person with 35 years of age. So that is the reason why you may not be able to compete with a 23-year-old person. So this is my take. I'll give another example, and that is, imagine you are making a building. You dig the earth and you have these iron girders and cementing, and you make a building of 10 floors. You are supposed to make a building of 25 floors, but you make only 10 floors. Then you realize you don't want this and you want to do something else. So you dig up earth again and then you rebuild, try to rebuild. So what happens is that you've wasted this particular portion of your life. So constantly changing different things is a negative sign to have. And apart from that, same indications can be seen on this is the heart line. It is not touching completely as seen in the right hand, but so that's a good part. It is kind of pointing towards a little bit towards the finger. In that way, it is reasonably good. But these lines, these are very I would say girdle of Venus, and it's a disturbed girdle of Venus. So in a way, in a positive way, it can be seen that they could be hysterical and uncontrolled emotion. These are the negative aspect, but they could have unrealistic fantasies. So unrealistic fantasies can be seen in a positive way as well as a negative way. Imagine a situation, somebody is a photographer and they want to shoot a very different kind of photo or a theme. So such a person, because they themselves are very much different from inside, they would be able to shoot an image, shoot a movie in a very different way compared to when there, see, if there are no lines out here, that would be, they would give a stale product. But out here, having too many lines out here would give a very innovative kind of a product. Now innovation is not because these people are innovative. Innovation is because they themselves are very much different from inside. Their feelings are very much different from inside, and their emotions are like rising up and then dipping. So and they have this sinking kind of a feeling. So in that way, I would say, see, when you're doing business, let's say if a person is doing business, in business you can't have the emotions go up and down, something like those emotions should be very stable kind of a decision. It shouldn't be basically wavering, something like this. I'm not saying that this person has got a wavery, but I'm just saying that these particular lines are negative because they kind of take your emotions in extreme and take your emotion towards unrealistic fantasies and those kind of things. And so there were lots of similarities, and I would just end the video. Before I end the video, I'll just tell you about the skin, the fingerprints. See, there's a loop-like formation out here also, loop-like formation out here also, loop-like formation here as well, and loop-like formation here as well. See, loops make a person versatile. Loops. Some person may have these concentric circles. That's a different thing. It basically makes a person more dogmatic and more like original, and they don't copy others, and they basically don't try to influence others. So that's what the quality of this particular formation is. But a loop-like formation may copy ideas from others and make it better and present it to people in a different way. So each finger would mean something else. So this is the finger of communication. So innovative ideas in communication or calculation is going to come about. They are going to kind of repackage it and present it in front of people. In that way, it is good. So this is finger of creativity, art, music, and this is the finger for Saturn. Saturn is all about money, possession, wealth, the wheel of life, all these kind of things. But considering this particular formation, now this particular loop is not pointing towards the right hand side. These loops are kind of pointing in this particular direction, but this particular loop is kind of pointing towards this particular direction. So imagine a situation. This is the Jupiter planet. Now Jupiter planet, when it's kind of pointing this particular direction, it is a little bit of a rare kind of an indication, and it makes those Jupiter qualities to be more prominent, and it is showing up in both the hands. This kind of formation is showing up in both the hands. They could be different, but in this